It's time, guys. I know you guys have been building these up, and we've had some commentary off the air, but I wanted to bring it to the listeners here, and that is the MLB rule changes for 2023. Obviously, this was dropped on like Wednesday or Thursday-ish, and it's been approved. They had a committee that did it. So overall, I want to say our opinions on it aren't too fond. That you got just specifics. I'm not going to read them off, but obviously the pitch clock sort of thing to speed up games, shift essentially banned with where they're allowing fielders to play next year. And then the bigger bases. I will say that I'll start the easy one. Bigger bases, I don't really mind that much. It's 3 inches and whatever. It's, if it helps prevent some injuries, maybe that, saves an Andrew Vaughn leg sometime in the future. Who knows?
Bigger bases brought to you by 69 Mega.
Yes.
That's all I've got to say.
Yeah. That's the one. That's the easy one, though, because I don't think too many people have a problem with that. But let's go and start with these other ones, especially speeding up the game, pitch clock and all that, and punishing guys if they take too long or something like that. Air out your main concerns with it, Steve, because I think you brought up a bunch of good ones, and Tony, you did as well. So let's just go in a circle here and drop some truth bombs on here.
Okay, so there are 2 specifically that I want to talk about. First, as it relates to the pitch clock. The immortal Hawk Harrelson used to talk all the time that baseball is the only game that is run without a clock. And to me, that is what made it great. A lot of people want to talk and they want to complain.
Preach, Steve. Preach, please.
They want to sit there and they want to complain about pace of play, about the game taking too long. You go and you look at these changes that it made in the minor leagues. You're talking about subtracting 25 minutes. Is 25 minutes really the difference, the thing that is going to bring all these, Gen Z hipsters that didn't like baseball to begin with? Is 25 minutes all of a sudden going to make them start coming to the ballpark and watching the game more frequently? No, it's not. You have an absolute bozo running this sport who fucking hates it, who insists on placating people that will never like it. And for some reason, he wants to try to placate them instead of the people that actually care about the sanctity of this sport here. If you want to talk about some of the things like, limiting the time in, from hitter to hitter, some of the things like that, I think that's a little bit trivial. But this whole thing about like the pitch clock, and because think about this, it's October, you're in the postseason. And if Michael Kopech is on the mound and all of a sudden now he's got a pitch that he gets called by Yasmani Grandal, and all of a sudden now something pops in his mind, wait a minute, maybe this isn't the right pitch, but he can't step off. And now all of a sudden he's got to throw a pitch without conviction. And if something bad happens as a result of it, how fucking pissed off are we going to be? Because I can tell you one thing, I will lose my shit over this. So that's the first one right there. The second one is this limitation on the number of pickoff throws. You are essentially screwing pitchers out of this, and you are limiting their ability to keep base runners close. Everybody wants to get all up in arms about, oh, boo, guy trying to throw a pickoff. This has been happening for 130 years.
Can I just chime in really quick there, Steve? I like that as the home team. Even if it is an effective, they actually do want to hold the right. Obviously, there's some that are just wasting time, but I like it. Whenever it's the home crowd, and it's like, I love doing it at 35th and Shields. And then when we play on the road and I'm watching them on TV, I like saying, oh, shut up, Oakland fans, if you're going to boo when, we're not, you know what I'm saying? It's like a good, like, back and forth. You just expect it every time, and I'm going to miss it. And then obviously the tactical stuff is what really matters. But think about it. There's effects that this will have that are beyond just on the field and how the game is played. It's how we, take it in, right?
Exactly. Then my last point on this, and then I'll turn it over to Anthony. This is going to keep Billy Hamilton employed for who knows how many years. Guys like him, Terrence Gore, guys that literally their only tool that is allowing them to keep putting on a uniform is their speed. These guys that are able to go out there, get big leadoffs, and are skilled enough at reading pitchers and reading their pickoff moves. Because if you try those 2 pickoffs, and if you don't get a guy, you're basically vacating that 90 feet. I mean, we want to talk about screwing teams from a tactical standpoint. That's a good way to do it.
This is absolutely a hot topic for me, guys. And Steve, I love everything you said. Before I even get into what I have to say here, some of the same points that you're echoing in terms of the sanctity of the game, I'm huge on. And I think that you and I don't even view baseball in the same way. And for you to say some shit about how baseball should be played, that I really agree with. I think to me, honestly, I'm live on air right now. To hear you say some of that shit is music to my ears, because when we talk about the Hawk Harrelson thing that you brought up, if we want to go there specifically, baseball not having a clock, I really honestly, that is one thing that I've honed in on in this entire thing. The history of the game of baseball has never had a clock on it. And you've got baseball history quotes that talk about how this game is different than everything else. And you have a commissioner that's come in and literally tried to change that. And you have to stop yourself at one point within this whole entire thing and say, is that right? And I don't think it is, because for just the main reason behind this, baseball doesn't play to its strengths at all. It never has.
The closest they have is to making the baseball Zen commercials that are just the sounds of the ballpark. For
Johnny,
MLB
I would say that's one of them.
That's it.
I think they did Field of Dreams, the original one, very well. Steve and I were there. I thought.
And then they ruined it this year.
And then they go and they ruin it. But you go back and you look at some of this stuff. It's like, over the history of the game, we're not even just talking about right now what people want, what anything is. The history of the game, it doesn't have a clock. It could last forever. In a world where everything is, what's the next notification I'm going to get? In a world where you can't focus on anything, baseball's slow enough for you to tweet about it in between pitches. Actually fire off a replay, Johnny. Talk about what's happening. It's the perfect sport to be able to live in a world where social media exists, where you can talk about something, use your phone during it, and just wait off the world around you. And we want to make it faster. Why? Why do you want to make this game faster? I've never met anybody who's wanted to have less of their product out there in the world. Who cares if it goes 14 innings? Even if it's about the money, from the owner down to the player who gets to have the chance to be the next viral thing on the internet because he made a play. Why do we want to shorten this game? Why? It doesn't make sense. Have more of your product out there.
Tony, can I answer your question that you just asked with something that you had said previously to us?
Sure.
It's so an entire at-bat can fit in a TikTok video, right?
But that's
when you boil it down,
looking at it wrong,
right? And that's what I'm saying. I totally agree with all of your guys' sentiments there. But I just thought that was a good take that you had.
Here's a comment that comes in here that I want to get to, Johnny, and I agree with it. More time for commercials. There's less time for commercials. Why do you put a runner on second base when you might be able to draw out an extra 3 innings worth of commercials? Why do you want to speed the game up? You're literally asking for less revenue.
Yeah, I mean, if they talk about
less beer sales,
the thing that they keep pointing to is that 25-minute reduction across the minor leagues. Guess what? That's a half-hour block of commercials now. Gone.
Yeah, it is. And Steve, there might be 2 or 3 commercials within there. There actually might be 6. Talk about baseball, half innings. You're going to lose money on everything just to speed the game up to appease who?
To appease people that are hardcore football fans who will never like baseball. That's what this is. That's all they're trying to do. Let's call it what it is. Everybody wants to make a big deal about today being the first day of NFL Sunday. That's literally why Rob Manfred is doing this. He wants to be the commissioner of the NFL, not the commissioner of Major League Baseball.
Interesting takes. I like it, guys. You guys covered a lot of good things. And Steve, I would double down and say the really important thing, because obviously at the end of the day, this is, when we're talking about baseball, the point of the show is we want to talk about White Sox winners, right? And something that could be an obstacle to that is the kind of thing, like you said, what if a pitcher needs that extra time to reset? There could be it could just be mental. It could be, Michael Kopech, his shirt is bunched up on his shoulder a little bit too much, or whatever it may be. Your hat.
And that's when a pitcher would step off.
I'm not saying they should be allowed to be divas and do, take a million years to like do this. I think a little bit of like urgency, like in between batters and stuff like that, Steve. So they're not, taking a Sunday stroll around the mound 3 times, right? I'm okay with like that kind of stuff, but on the mound itself and how it can really affect pitchers, I think that was a good point, Steve, that you brought up. And now thinking about the other ones, I don't need to rehash everything you guys said, because I pretty much agree with the points that you brought up. From our standpoint, right, as fans taking in this game and, with things sped up, I will now miss more baseball action on the field if I decide to go up and go to the bathroom, go get something to eat, go and get beers in between innings. Because sure, even if the time between innings stays the same, right, that's all fine and dandy. But when you get back then, these things speeding up on the field, you will miss more of it. Whereas I might have only missed the first 2 pitches of the first batter after I went to the bathroom and got a beer and came back to my seat. Where now I might have missed 2 batters. You know what I'm saying? I think that's something that's overlooked, because obviously everybody's kind of dissecting what's going to be on the field. Well, what about in the stands?
Especially when you have let's be blunt, an inefficient concession operation that the White Sox have had at the corner of 35th and Shields this season.
Well, Steve, I think that you even can go further than that. You've got to take if you're Rob Manfred, you've got to take every single baseball stadium into play here. And who pulled the fans on this? I know you had a couple of baseball representatives, and that was even questioned in the national media. Where's the fan poll that says, I want a faster baseball game so that I miss more of the product? Johnny, I love what you brought to the table there, because you're right. That lessens the experience. And I don't see the ticket prices going down. Do you guys?
No. Here's one thing that I really want to drive home on this, as we talk about trying to decrease the amount of time that people are at the ballpark. One of my favorite things to do, and I've caught in flack from people over the years about this, is going to a game by yourself is actually very therapeutic in a number of senses. For me, being in a high stress profession that I am in, if I could speak correctly.
So stressful, you can't even make words.
Yeah, tell me about it. I've already got the Sunday scaries here. There are days where I go and I have meetings with doctors and I just want to bang my head against the fucking wall. And I come out of that and I can go to the ballpark and I can get in my seat 6:15, 6:30. So, 45 minutes to maybe an hour before the game. And I can just sit there by myself, taking the very end of batting practice, watch them prep the field, and just be alone with my thoughts, mentally reset, and just leave behind all that other bullshit that happened. And then watch a 9-inning baseball game and not have to think about, I got to go to this office tomorrow. I got to meet with this practice. I got to deal with this. I got this problem I have to overcome here. I can just zone out for that 3.5 hours, however long it is. Now you're talking about taking that away. Fuck that.
They only want you to have 2 hours, Steve. That's a problem. It's a big problem. You're taking away the product that people are happy with to try and entice other people to come view it because it's going to be faster. I don't understand that. The appeal to new audience thing is important, and I can get that. But if you have a problem with your game where people aren't picking it up, I think that's where this argument kind of goes at a fork in the road, where you have to make a change. And I would say that change is make your product more accessible. Market your stars better.
Here's a suggestion from Sal,
yes.
Our guy White Sox Sal. He says, how about starting the World Series at a reasonable time on the East Coast? How can you grow the game to a younger audience if kids can't watch? Good point, Sal. There's just one of many examples of.
You've got that.
Why isn't there mandated doubleheaders for every team on Labor Day and Memorial Day?
Not only that, look, we can simplify it even further. The streaming aspects. Our guy Sean in Iowa is blacked out from 5 teams. You go to Vegas, you're blacked out from 5 teams. Literally in the year of our Lord 2022, I should be able to pick this up, watch any game, regardless of where it is being played, on this device or on a tablet, on my laptop if I'm traveling for work. I should not be restricted based off of where I am at geographically. You want to grow the game? That's the easiest way to do it. Give everyone access to it. This is why the NFL and the NBA consistently beat MLB in these particular aspects, because people can do that. You can literally watch any NFL game on your phone.
I would disagree with you here, Steve.
Okay, well, tell me more, because I don't watch a lot of that foosball nonsense. So where am I wrong?
As a fan of a team that does not play in Chicago, I will tell you that I cannot watch my football team play if the Chicago team is playing at the exact same time on Fox. So I don't think football has it right either, but they're close. They're damn near close. Baseball has it the worst. But I don't think
football could shit on its fans and they'd still stay around.
Yes, they would, Johnny. But here's the problem. If you're baseball and you want to compete with football, just make your product accessible, like we're saying right here, to anyone and everyone. You have 162 games for every single team. Just bombard it with it. The more content you have, the better. You're limiting your content in a content world by trying to shorten your games and make them faster. You're limiting the experience. Why are you trying to cut it down? That's what I don't understand.